some senses today, the destination is the journey. So I think the gatherings that we have here today that bring sort of various people, players in the IP ecosystem together is really important to help us kind of drive the conversation and figure out what we can do more, what we can do better. And the sense I have too is as we think about it, I think Canada is strong in so many facets of IP, including developing IP. And I think a key thing that we continue to have on our mind is how do we leverage it, how do we build it, and allow it to sort of help us support scaling Canadian businesses. One thing I think is clear, and I think it goes without saying, that technology really is critical across our entire economy. So I think our success as a country, as we think about going forward, is really going to depend on our ability to generate, to protect, and leverage IP. So I think we've been doing this certainly with direct IP supports, a robust business environment, and are really committed to thinking about what it is that we need to help IP-intensive firms both take root and to grow. And I think a key question for all of us is to think about how can Canada's innovation ecosystem stand out amongst its competitors? And again, I think today's conversation has certainly been an opportunity to think about that and to talk about that. And I do think that answering that question is going to be really key for us all to continue to enjoy a prosperous economy for all Canadians. Now, I do understand that you had a chance this morning to talk a little bit about the federal budget that came out a couple of weeks ago. So maybe just a few notes on that. As you know, it outlines the government's plan to build, protect, and empower the Canadian economy. So, for example, we often hear about the lack of available patient capital, particularly when companies are seeking to scale. So as you may have seen, the budget announced the creation, among other things, one of the things it announced was the creation of a new $1 billion venture and growth capital catalyst initiative, fund-to-fund stream designed to incent investor participation in key sectors, including life sciences. Other areas just to kind of highlight is you might have seen the investment by the government in skills through the International Talent Attraction Strategy and Action Plan, which includes funding for the granting councils to recruit exceptional researchers and enable doctoral and postdoctoral students to relocate to Canada. Businesses can sometimes struggle to find clients to buy their goods and services, and so as you may have seen as well, the government is seeking to be Canada's best customer, leveraging our procurement capacity, and we are extending our efforts to open new markets and to diversify trade to maximize opportunities for Canadian business. The government's also focusing on the needs of key sectors that demonstrate opportunities for Canadian leadership, such as AI. The Government of Canada is working to build sovereign AI infrastructure, as you may have seen, scale up AI champions, accelerate adoption of AI across the economy to fuel productivity and economic growth, and to promote trust that the privacy and data of Canadians are protected. So as you may have seen, we actually recently completed consultations to inform a new national AI strategy and received, and this I think really is a testament to the interest and importance of this issue to Canadians. We received over 11,000 submissions, so it was quite something. The government's also pursuing initiatives to strengthen our defense industry through a defense industrial strategy, including by establishing Borealis and the Defense Investment Agency, as well as a mobilization program to provide funding support and advisory services to SMEs engaged in defense or security opportunities. And as you will also see, and I'm sure was discussed today, the government signaled continued efforts to support and advance IP directly. So there have been successive investments in IP at the federal level, as you'll be aware, beginning with the National IP Strategy in 2018. And the government, through this budget, has fortified this foundation by renewing 3 initiatives, in addition to the renewed funding for IAC. This includes new funding for Elevate IP, IP Assist. Taken together, these initiatives provide a source of valuable support and advice to businesses as they develop their IP acumen, strategize next steps, and monetize their IP. Now, efficiency and effectiveness are obviously also very important for companies, including IP-intensive firms. So again, as you may have seen to this end, in the budget, the government announced that it intends to introduce a variety of targeted amendments to legislation in order to increase government efficiency and operational effectiveness. So this would include amendments that would streamline low-risk internal processes, modernize outdated requirements, and eliminate some burdensome reporting requirements, remove unnecessary barriers to agile regulation making, and align legislative and regulatory authorities across government. Of course, in addition to this, we are always striving to do better. And to that end, to further strengthen the intellectual property ecosystem in Canada, the government also announced in the budget that it will conduct an intellectual property performance review to identify new ways to partner with emerging and scaling intellectual property intensive firms, increase domestic investment in leading and high potential firms, retain and commercialize intellectual property in Canada, and help firms protect and commercialize their intellectual property in foreign markets to advance trade diversification. So I personally very much look forward to this effort, and certainly my team will be heavily invested in that as well, and there will be more details on this work to come in the near term. So just in closing, conversations like those held today, as I mentioned, have been instrumental to take us to where we are today and will really be key in moving us forward. It really will be an all-in effort, requiring insights and perspectives from across the ecosystem to ensure that innovative companies have the tools, IP and otherwise, that they need to succeed. So I've got a couple members of my team here, and all of us look forward to continued engagement and to working on these important issues together. Thank you.